because you're at home and they know that you can't drop points at home when you're going for what Arsenal are trying to achieve at the end of the season. So, you know, when you look at the way that they drop the points, obviously it's massively disappointing, but we can't get past the fact it's 3 games and you're going to have to make that up somewhere along the line. But it was disappointing.
Teams will drop points across the course of the season. I know they don't drop many points now. If you want to go and win the title, it's tougher than it ever has been. But you know, so is it the worst thing in the world?
No, because they didn't lose. But like I say, the most disappointing thing is probably the manner in which they lost, and you know, obviously Declan being sent off. It gave Brighton the impetus, and they made some very good substitutions. João Pedro, like we've been talking, is very, very dangerous. And in the end, I think that you have to really be happy that you got that point in the way that they were finishing the game.
Do you want to talk about the decision and get it out of the way?
What decision? I didn't see any.
Well, the decision. What decision? Do you think Declan Rice was correctly booked twice
I think
for these incidents?
That, like they're saying, like you see the ball's moving now. Right, so the ball's moving. So we're talking about letter of the law, and we're talking about consistency. I was talking about Darren. So if we are going for the letter of the law, we are going for consistency, then that's not ready to be taken because it's still moving. So then they should have had a look at that and said, well, okay, well, the ball was moving, so you can't restart play because the ball. But then I heard this on 24 Hours. I'm hearing ex-referees come out and saying, okay, that was interesting because nobody mentioned that fact, and that is letter of the law. If the ball's moving, then you can't take the restart. So those things should be taken into consideration. We've got referees upstairs who know these rules. I didn't know it. You know what I mean? I didn't know it, but they know it. So they should have said, hang on a minute, the ball was moving, so he wouldn't be able to take the restart anyway. So when you go into it that deeply, like I obviously have over the weekend, you know, and you think to yourself, okay, probably let down by consistency again.
It does feel harsh, that second yellow, doesn't it?
Oh, it's incredibly harsh. I don't want to see games of football decided by that. That was a really good game of football. And if Arsenal would have had 11 players, they would have won, more than likely. So I think the 60, 70,000 that come in, they want to watch football. They don't want to watch a technicality of maybe a little kicker. I know maybe the way the law's written.
Even if that was a first yellow, I mean, obviously there's a spotlight on it because it was a second and he got sent off. But even if that was a first yellow, we'd still be at least acknowledging it today because it just feels strange.
Premier League games shouldn't be decided by that. It should be decided by these brilliant players that we have. And I know the way the law's written, it probably is deemed a yellow. But it comes back to football players, feel. The ref's got to have a bit of feel in that moment. You know, it's a really good game. Yeah, okay, it's a bit emotional and he moves the ball. Right, he makes a great point. The ball's moving, so you can't take it. So in that sense, I think it's crazy harsh. Declan, you know, he's close. Ball's moving, just a little move. That's not a yellow card.
You could see as well that Veltman. Yeah, this happened. You know, he used to do this to me a lot. Francis Benali at Southampton. You know, because when you get the free kick, you go in front of it, Kel, and then you start walking away because obviously they can't book you for trying to go and get 10 yards. So you go and you try to walk away, but then they kick it against you, and then you get booked. Yeah. They've got to see these things now. But
you also would have been the player who standing opposite Declan Rice going, well, that's for the law. So.
Well, Danny Welbeck was saying, it's a yellow.
Yeah, you see it. I mean,
you know,
there's nothing I can do there.
That face that says, come on, it's a yellow. But Declan done what all of us do when, especially that stage of the game, you know what I mean? You're that far up in the pitch, up in the other end of the pitch. You're just going to delay it and just start jogging probably. And, you know, people say, well, Declan shouldn't have done that. You know, he's probably gets away with it on week in, week out. Obviously, they're going to clamp down on it this season. So I'll be looking out for it.
Yeah, we'll definitely be plenty of yellow cards flying around for that. It's hard to say that's deliberate, isn't it?
It is, but I'm in a minority today because I'm going to back up the referee.
Well, do you know what? If there's a question mark around it, then it can't be overturned. So it's okay.
No, I just think that Declan's had a bad day. He's a fantastic player, but the first tackle, he's not going to win the ball. And he goes launching in and he gets the yellow card. He knows he's on the yellow card. And then he puts himself in a position to get carded again. Now, again, the PGMOL, they give us all the rules before the season begins and they tell us what the threshold's going to be. And they tell us Law 12 means if you do, sorry about being a bit of a geek on this, but if you do attempt to delay the restart by kicking the ball away, and they're very specific about it as well in the laws, then you're going to get cautioned. So he knows the rules, the players know the rules, we know the rules, and
Well, what about the João Pedro one?
Exactly.
Mikel made a great point.
I was about to go back to that one. There are Arsenal fans online who have made, across this weekend alone, a list of players across the Premier League who have not been penalised for exactly that kind of thing.
I mean, it was kicked it out of the stadium, João Pedro.
Absolutely. It was absolutely ridiculous in the same game.
So the other matches going to be stood down for the next round of Premier League matches, and then we've got to have enough referees.
I mean, I think that there are two separate issues, which is, one, did Rice put himself in a position to be sent off? Yes, he did. Yeah. Is there a problem with consistency? Yes, there is. And I think definitely that has to be
feel, right? We've got to have...
Yeah.
Let's let the players decide matches, unless it's really obvious. And I don't think that was... Just felt a bit great, didn't it?
Yes,
but I think you're both right. I think that's his 245th match, his first sending off, right? But he's experienced enough not to put himself in a position like that.
Yeah, he'll be kicking himself more than anyone.
Yeah, and I think he has to take a little bit of responsibility.
Yes, he does. But then we've got to stop talking about everything being to the letter of the law, because that wasn't to the letter of the law.
No, I do agree with that, and I think that all I'm saying is you do not put yourself in a position to be sent off. Because if you look at that footage, as the referee's taking out the card, he shrugs and he's saying, you know, what can I do? And you see him, watch him coming in, you see him shrug and you see him do that movement with his right leg, not that movement, the one afterwards, where he basically says, what can I do? Look.
You know what he can do? I'll tell you what.
Danny Welbeck is funny.